Yesterday we talked about adding and subtracting polynomials, and we learned that when we add polynomials that we just combine like terms in decreasing order, right? And when we subtract polynomials, we distribute a negative one to the second polynomial, changes all their signs, and then we combine like terms in decreasing order. And we also started multiplying polynomials with distributive property yesterday, correct? And we remembered our exponent rules. When we multiply two things that have the same base or the same variable, then we add their exponents. All right. So today we're going to multiply bigger and bigger polynomials. So yesterday we did a monomial times a polynomial, which was distributive property. We're going to start today with a binomial times a binomial. Now, how many terms does a binomial have in it? Two terms, like a bicycle has two wheels. So a binomial times a binomial looks like this number one right here. Binomial times a binomial. You know you're multiplying when the parentheses are squished up together and there's no plus or minus between them. Okay? The parentheses are just up against each other. So that's how you know it's multiplication. They're not going to put a dot or a times sign. Okay? They're just going to squish the parentheses up against each other. And you can think about this two different ways. You can think about it as distributive property that you do twice, or there's actually a name for the method for two binomials, and that's called FOIL method, F-O-I-L, FOIL method, okay? Now, that's an acronym. Y'all know what an acronym is, right? When every letter stands for something. So for FOIL method, F stands for the word first, O stands for the word outer, I stands for the word inner, and L stands for the word last. Okay? First, outer, inner, last. So what that tells you is the order that you're going to multiply each term in your two parentheses. Okay? So F stands for first. So that means you start by multiplying the first term in each parentheses. I have an X in this parentheses is the first term. The first term in this parentheses is also an X. So you're going to start by multiplying X times X. Whoops. And what is X times X? X squared. Okay? Then O stands for outer. That means you're going to multiply the two terms on the outsides of the parentheses. The very first term and the very last term. Outside terms. So what is X times 2? 2X. I stands for inner. So that means we're going to do the two terms in the middle. 5 times X is what? 5X. And L stands for last, which means the last term in each parentheses. So the last term in this parentheses is a 5. Last term in this parentheses is a 2. So you multiply 5 times 2. And what do you get? 10. Okay, so you're going to multiply 4 terms. The first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms. Now, is this polynomial simplified? What could I do to simplify it? Yeah, the terms in the middle are like terms, aren't they? They both have an X in it. So your very last step to the FOIL method is combine like terms. So it's X squared. What's positive 2X plus 5X? 7X plus 10. And there's my answer. So we have H equals first times first, outer times outer, inner times inner, last times last. And then you combine like terms. Another way, if FOIL method confuses you, another way you can think about it is repeat distributive property. So you take the X in the first parentheses and multiply it times both terms in the second, which is what we did, right? And then you go to the 5 and multiply it times both terms in the second. Okay, so that's actually the method we're going to use for bigger polynomials. We just have an acronym for a binomial times a binomial. Okay. All right, y'all have number 2 copied? 2X plus 3 times 4X plus 1. It is a binomial times a binomial again. So what terms do y'all think we're going to multiply first? The first and the first. So 2x times 4x. And what do we get when we multiply 2x times 4x? 8x squared. X times x is x squared. This is x to the first power. This is the x to the first power. When you multiply with the same base, you add exponents. So it goes back to exponent rules. All right, then outer times outer. So 2x gets multiplied times 1. What's 2x times 1? 2x. Then what do we multiply? The inner terms, which is what? 3 times 4x. What's 3 times 4x? 12x. And then what do we multiply? 3 times 1 is 3. And what's the last step after we multiply? Like terms. What's positive 2x plus 12x? 14x. So 8x squared plus 14x plus 3. That's your final answer. We good? It's pretty simple. Let's do a few more. Those have all had plus signs in them. Yeah, because we're going to end up doing trinomials times trinomials. Because there's just a variety of different things. All right, so number 3, they're going to start putting negatives in there for us. And when they do that, we just have to be more careful with our signs when we multiply. Remember, a negative times a positive is a positive, but a negative times a negative is, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. A negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay? So what do we multiply first on number 3? X times 3x. And y'all don't have to draw the little rainbows if you can do without. I'm just going to do it for one more example. What's x times 3x? 3x squared. And then we multiply what? X times 2 is what? 2x. And then we do the inside terms. What's negative 4? That's not just 4, it's negative 4. Negative 4 times 3x is what? And then I multiply negative 4 times 2. And what's negative 4 times 2? Negative 8. And what's my final step? Like terms. What's positive 2x minus 12x? Yep, so 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. All right, one more, then you try. This one has negatives in both of them. If you need to do the rainbows, do them. I'm going to try to do them without. What do I multiply first? 4x times x. What's 4x times x? 4x squared. Then what do I multiply? 4x times negative 2 is what? Negative 8x. Then what do I multiply? Negative 5 times x is what? Negative 5x. And last, what do I multiply? What's negative 5 times negative 2? It's positive 10. So make sure you put a plus 10. Common mistake right there. And what do we do last? Combine like terms. And that's going to be 4x squared minus 13x plus 10. Okay. So any questions about FOIL method so far? I want you guys to try these two. I'll finish. Y'all can share with somebody. Help each other. If you need help, let me know. Okay, so we talked about how to start the problem yet. And I realized my screen wasn't present when I was working it out for myself. So if you were watching the screen, then you know what to do. Yeah. All right, y'all help me do this. On number 5, we multiply first what? 2 terms. Which are 4n times n. What's 4n times n? 4n squared. Y'all start with that. And then what did you multiply? 4n times 5 and get what? 20n. And then you multiplied what? Negative 1 times n is negative 1n or just negative n, either one. And then last is negative 1 times 5 and you get what? And then you combine like terms and they're in the middle. What's positive 20n minus n? So 4n squared plus 19n minus 5. Raise your hand if you got that for number 5. Are there any questions? All right, number 6 is also a binomial times a binomial. So first you enter last. What's 2x times negative 3x? Negative 6x squared. Then you multiply 2x times what? Plus 7. So that is 14x. Good. Then what did you multiply? Yep, the inside terms. What's negative 5 times negative 3x? Positive 15x. And then the last term, so negative 5 times positive 7. And then you had like terms. What's 14x plus 15x? Yes, so negative 6x squared plus 29x minus 35. Raise your hand if you got that for number 6. Any questions about a binomial times a binomial? Okay. Moving on up to east side. Okay. Yep, Jefferson. Back when I was a child. I'm old. All right. Binomials times a trinomial. Right? So this is a what? Look at my hand. And this one is a trinomial. So when you have a binomial times a trinomial, you're just going to repeat the distributive property. So I'm going to take the 4x and multiply it times all 3 terms. And then I'm going to come take negative 3 and multiply it times all 3 terms. So how many times am I going to multiply?
Hold on, repeat what you just said.
Y'all are too busy writing and not watching me. So I take 4x and I'm going to multiply it times all 3 terms. Then I'm going to take negative 3 and multiply it times all 3 terms. So how many times am I going to multiply? 6 times. Okay? I'm going to multiply 6 times. So I'm going to start with 4x in my binomial, and I'm going to multiply it times all 3 terms in my trinomial.
8x to the 3rd.
Just a second. All right, y'all ready? Everybody ready? What is 4x times 2x squared? 8x to the 3rd. Good. Then I do 4x times the middle term. So what's 4x times 5x? Plus 20x squared. And then 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. So any questions so far? I did 4x times all 3 terms. Now I'm going to go do negative 3 times all 3 terms. All right? So what is negative 3 times 2x squared? Good. And what's negative 3 times 5x? Negative 15x. And what's negative 3 times negative 1? Positive 3. So we've got to be very careful when we multiply, because even if we miss a sign, we're going to get it wrong, right? So be careful. So now it looks just like what we did yesterday. So how do you think we're going to finish it up? Combine like terms in decreasing order. Okay. So what's our highest exponent? And so I'm just going to underline them as I do them. So I'm just going to copy 8x to the third because he's the only thing with x to the third. Then what's my next highest exponent? The square. I got positive 20x squared minus 6x squared. So what does that combine to get? Positive 14x squared. Very good. And then my x's, I have negative 4x minus 15x. What does that simplify to? And then my last one is just a constant plus 3. And there we go. So it's not that bad. Not that bad. No.
I think I like this one go down the last one because the first after dinner last.
Well, if it does, you can do the same thing with the FOIL. You can do this. 2x times this and this, and then negative 5 times this and this. You can repeat distributive property the same way. Okay, if FOIL confuses you thinking about those letters, you can repeat distributive property 2x times this and this, and negative 5 times this and this. Because you're multiplying the same order. Is that okay with everybody? So, yeah, I like repeat distributive better first, but I know when you get in Algebra 2, they're going to say something about FOIL method, so you can say, oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Okay? All right, here's another one. What kind of polynomials do we have going on here? What's this one? Times a binomial. Now, see how they kind of wrote it backwards this time? They put the trinomial in front. So you got some options here. You can rewrite it and put the binomial in front of the trinomial if this bothers you. Okay? Or you can leave it like it is and do the trinomial times both terms, middle times both terms, left. Or you can kind of work it backwards and do the 3m times all three terms and then the negative 4 times all three terms. That's what I like to do. Okay? Now, if you don't like it written like this, then go ahead and rewrite it the other way. Okay? I'm going to leave it alone because on your quiz tomorrow and on your practice, you might see something like this. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone. And I'm just going to do it backwards and do 3m times all three terms in the try. Okay? So what's 3m times m squared? 3m to the third. What's 3m times 6m? 18m, what power? Squared. And what's 3m times negative 7? Negative 21m. Good. And now I do negative 4 times everything.
Oh, we're doing that. Never mind. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Like I said, there was options on this one. So that can be a little confusing if we're all doing our own thing. All right. So negative 4, I'm going to go back and do times every term in the trinomial. So what's negative 4 times m squared? Negative 4m squared. What's negative 4 times 6m? Negative 24m. Watch your signs. And what's negative 4 times negative 7? Positive 28. Now, if you did it in a different order, then you'll still have those terms, but in a different order. Okay? Just make sure after you do a trinomial times a binomial, you end up with 6 terms across before you send it. Okay? All right. So, combine like terms. What's my highest exponent? 3m to the third. So, we copy that one. What's the next highest exponent? Squared. So, what's 18m squared minus 4m squared? Plus 14m squared. And then I do my m's. What's negative 21m minus 24m? Negative 45m. And then my constant is just plus 28. And there we go. Oh, it's not terrible. Right? Okay, I want y'all to try. Y'all try. And I put it in the right order this time. You got to type in and make it again. 169.39. Very good. And what's the unit on 169.39? G. Now, half would be G. Are we okay with that? Okay, you see how it differs when you're looking for time and when you're looking for height. Okay, sometimes it might ask you to find the height at a certain time. So if that were the case, whatever the time given, you would plug that in for T and find A. Very simple. It might not say find the maximum height, it might say find the height from the, let's say somebody hits a baseball, find the height of the baseball after 3 seconds. Right? That might not necessarily be the maximum, it's just for you to find out how long it's going. Okay? Alright. Number 7, Eva is jumping on a trampoline. Her height h times t can be modeled by the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 20t plus 6. So if Eva reached a height of 14 feet, so this is an example of a All right, those of y'all that are done, go ahead and check with somebody. If you're not done, finish up or ask me for help. Ask somebody for help.
Right here. 2y times negative y. There you go. You got the y. There you go.
What do you say? Adrian, you just go to lunch away. Hey. She wanted to have some. Andrew, right? Okay. Y'all help me out. How do you multiply a binomial times a trinomial? We just distribute twice, right? So make sure every term in the binomial gets multiplied by every term in the trinomial. So starting with 2y, I multiply 2y times what first? 3y squared. What is 2y times 3y squared? Yeah, 6y to the third. And then 2y times negative y. What's 2y times negative 1y? And what's 2y times 5? Not negative. There you go. Is everybody okay with the first one? Then you go back and do negative 3 same way. So what's negative 3 times 3y squared? What's negative 3 times negative y? Yeah, watch your sign right there. Because if you put a minus 3y, you're going to miss it. And what's negative 3 times 5? Any questions about my multiplying? So I should have 6 terms across there, right? I multiplied 6 times. All right, now I'm going to combine like terms in decreasing order. My highest exponent is y to the third. So 6y to the third. Then I do my y squares. What's negative 2y squared minus 9y squared? Negative and negative, negative 11y squared. And then positive 10y plus 3y plus 13y, and then minus 15. Raise your hand if you got that for your final answer.
I don't look at us.
Is everybody okay with the binomial times a try? I know you'll see some of these on your quiz tomorrow, and I know you'll have some on your practice. Okay? Because I'm sitting here looking at your practice right now. All right. As hard as it can get, which is really the same thing. You just do it another time. Y'all, this doesn't get any more difficult, it just gets longer. All right? It's the same steps, you just do more of them.
That's right.
Okay, so y'all copy down these two trinomials. And it says to just keep on repeating the distributive property.
So for the move situation, the equation is h equals negative 0.8 t squared plus 10t plus 2.
And this is their,
So we're just gonna
Jake, this is the hardest it's gonna get.
Here we're gonna have
Good.
t equals negative 10
Today.
plus
Today.
Today. We're not done with the lesson after this, but it's the hardest it gets. Tomorrow you're gonna do it on your own on your quiz.
But
Yeah.
this is just it for trying to do, but there's more.
Yes. There's more at the end of the lesson. We gotta talk about special products. Special ones. All right, so we got a trinomial times a trinomial, 3 terms times 3 terms. So how many terms do you think we're gonna have when we multiply everything out? 9. Yeah, so we're gonna multiply 9 times. So you're gonna make sure you take the 2x cubed and multiply it times all 3 terms. Then you're gonna come back and do 3x times all 3 terms. And then you're come back and do 4 times all 3 terms. All right, so every term in the first trinomial gets multiplied by every term in the second trinomial. All right, we're going to repeat distributive property 3 times. Okay, so I'm going to start with 2x cubed and multiply it times all 3 terms over here. So what is 2x cubed times negative 4x squared? Negative 8x to the 5th. Yes, you add your exponents. Yep. I heard it. I was trying to ignore it. All right. So 2x cubed now times negative 8x is what?
Negative 16.
Negative 16x to the 4th. And what is 2x cubed times 2? 4x cubed. All right. We're a third of the way done. Now we go to 3x. So now we're going to multiply 3x times all 3 terms in the second trinomial. So what's 3x times negative 4x squared? Negative 12x to the 3rd. And then what's 3x times negative 8x? And then what's 3x times 2? 6x. Yeah, you got to write kind of narrow on this. I might run out of room myself. And then you come back and do 4 times all 3 terms. What's 4 times negative 4x squared? Negative 16x squared. What's 4 times negative 8x? And what's 4 times 2? Positive 8. There you go. 9 terms across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So big.
That's okay. We're simplifying it. And yeah, y'all, we just combine like terms in decreasing order, and then we're finished. Y'all, this is as hard as it can get. And no, it's not hard. It's just longer. That's it. It just takes more time. Takes up more paper. So the first one, what's the highest exponent, y'all, decreasing order? Negative 8x to the 5th. And then what's next? Yeah, and that don't have any like term buddies either. So negative 16x to the 4th. Then what? My cubes are right there together. So what is 4x cubed minus 12x cubed? Okay, to the 3rd power. And then we have some squares. So it's negative 24x squared minus 16x squared. Negative 40x squared. And then my x's, I have positive 6x minus 32x. Negative 26. Negative 26x, and then my last little constant plus 8. I know. Okay, yes, it was time consuming, but it was not mathematically any more challenging than the rest of right? All right. So this is important stuff right here. Special products. I didn't say. I said it was as hard as it was going to get. I said there was more. I said it 3 times.
I thought you said we had to see that. I know. Yeah. Yeah, she told me.
Class isn't over till I say it's over anyway, so y'all just not.
Minus 4.
Write this down. This is important.
4.9 times 2.
This is where I get mad.
And you get rid of 31.6.
Yes. Y'all gonna say me act a fool. Are ready? Oh, let me get my red.
Yeah, I kind of want to see.
Is that why the dents are on? Yes, there's live murder in my voice.
Dang.
That's where you hit the.
Yeah, so I'm about to, so I'm warning you.
You put a dent in it?
Yep.
Why did it make
Watch
you
me,
mad?
Jules, watch.
Sure.
Okay. There's 2 kinds of special products. One of them are called squared binomials, and the other ones are called differences of squared. Y'all, this is so important. So important that college teachers make a big deal of this. This is a math teacher's pet peeve. Let me just make one up.
Let's find the approximate solution. I'm going to come back to the screen. Let's go back out the next right now. Parentheses, -10 plus second x squared, 139.2, right arrow, close parentheses, divided by -9.8.
No?
Y'all see how you would get that? I just did it really good. Don't ever, ever do that. Never, ever, ever. Ever. That is mathematical murder. Don't do it. If you want your paper to look like that, then do it. Okay? Gotta clean your red pens. Okay? Okay. That is mathematically incorrect. It's wrong. It's wrong. 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 Bad. Math does not exist. Oh my gosh. Okay. Don't ever do that. Okay? Got it? Got it? We're not going to do that. I did. But y'all, if I don't act a fool, y'all will forget it and y'all screw it up. So, yeah, I act a fool because I want y'all to remember stuff. Right? Right? Okay. So y'all are going to remember not to do that. Now, what does it mean to square something, y'all? Say it louder. She's scared to say anything. I'm not going to murder you, I promise. Only murder math problems. Okay. So, yes, to square something means to multiply it times itself. We agree? Right? So when we say a binomial squared, that means you take that little binomial and you write it down twice and you multiply it times itself.
Okay, Jake, this is not something.
To square anything means to multiply it by itself, okay? Okay? Do not tell me that's 9x squared plus 16. Do not. Like if I pass out, y'all, like my heart's racing. It makes me so bad math. Okay. I can't even do it. I just have to erase it. I can't stand it. All right. So multiply it times itself. So when I take this binomial and I write it down twice and I multiply it times itself, what am I doing here? Binomial times binomial, right? FOIL method or repeat distributive, however you want to do it. All right? So this is easy. What's 3x times 3x? 9x squared. What's 3x times 4? 12x. What's 4 times 3x? 12x. And what's 4 times 4? 16. And you combine your middles. 9x squared plus 24x plus 16, which is not 9x squared plus 16, is it? Oh, y'all can't. Just look at that red. Oh, I'm going to pretend this board.
Dang, I didn't give up
Well,
on
now you
the
It does look like wood.
Your next cousin is coming to
I think they'll know, because most of them had you last year.
Yeah, I know. I always do. That's why my board looks like that. All right. So, anyway, so make sure when you square a binomial, you multiply it times itself and you FOIL it out. Okay? Okay? Because if not, you're going to leave out the middle term and it's going to be wrong. And it's going to give me a heart attack. All right. 5x minus 2y all squared. Oh, he missed the murder. Taylor.
Taylor, Mrs.
All right. All right. So, how do we square a binomial? Multiply it by itself. So, you take parentheses 5x minus 2y and multiply it times itself. All right. First, outer, inner, last, or repeat distributive, however you want to think of it. What's 5x times 5x? 25x squared. What's 5x times negative 2y?
10, negative 10xy.
Yeah. You just combine the variables. And then right here, same thing, negative 2y times 5x. You can put it in the same order as that so they look alike. Negative 10xy. And then what's negative 2y times negative 2y? Yep, positive 4y squared. Do y'all see a pattern here how these are double in the middles?
They're always gonna be double.
Uh-huh. When you square a binomial, you're going to double the middles. Yep. So that's minus 20xy when I combine like terms plus 4y squared. So that's how you square a binomial. You multiply it by itself. You do not distribute the square. You do not distribute the square. You do not distribute the square. I'm telling you, my teacher pet peeve. Bad math, terrible. I will make a blood scene on your paper. All right. I think I'm kidding. I have drawers of red pens.
I kind of want somebody to try it. Because I kind of want to see it.
I cannot double. So try it on your question one.
I don't want to do it. I just want somebody to-
Okay, I really want to.
Okay. So there's one special product is when you square a binomial, you just multiply it times itself, y'all. The next one is called a difference of squares. Difference of squares. Do y'all notice something about these two binomials? Exactly. Exact same first term, same last term, but the signs in the middle are opposites. Y'all see that? That's why it's called a difference of squares. Same first term. I'll write that down. Same first term. Same last term. Opposite sides in the middle. That is what makes a difference of squares. Now, y'all, we're going to be using difference of squares from now until we get done with this class. And you're going to use them again in geometry and algebra 2, college algebra, pre-cal, cal. You're going to be using them forever. Okay, this is important. All right, difference of squares. Let's FOIL that. And then we'll see why they're special. What's 3x times 3x? 9x squared. What is 3x times 2? Plus 6x. What is negative 2 times 3x? And what is negative 2 times positive 2? Negative 4. Now I combine like terms. What? Positive 6x minus 6x makes 0x, which is 0, right? And I'm left with 9x squared minus 4. Do y'all see that? Okay, that is your answer. So that's what's supposed to happen. Anytime you multiply a difference of squares, then the middle term will cancel out. Therefore, there is a shortcut. Now, if a shortcut confuses you and you understand how to do that normally, then you can ignore me right here, but I'm going to show you the shortcut. The shortcut is you take the entire first term, which is 3x, put it in parentheses and you square it. Minus goes right here always. Then you take the last term, which is 2, put it in parentheses and square it. And there you can distribute the squares because the minus is separated, okay? So 3 squared is 9. X squared is x squared. Minus 2 squared is 4. Is that the same answer we got? Yes. So the shortcut is take the first term, square it, minus in the middle because it's called a difference of squares, and difference means subtract, right? And then last term and square it, and then square everything, minus in the middle, and you should get the same thing you would get if you canceled out the middle terms. Okay? So either way you want to do it, it's fine with me. Just make sure you recognize it's a difference of squares before you do it. Always minus in the middle. So number 13, is that a difference of squares? Yes. So you can FOIL it out like normal because it's 2 binomials, or you could do the shortcut. I'm just going to go ahead and do the shortcut. Parentheses, first term, square it. What goes in the middle? Minus, parentheses, last term, square it. And what do I get when I square 5? Square x, x squared, minus, what's 2 squared? And then y squared is y squared. So again, you could do it that way with the shortcut, or you could FOIL it. Only works for difference of squares. Same first, same last, opposite in the middle. Okay? If it's not difference of squares, do not do that. It won't be mathematically correct. All right, look, I gave you a U-try, and I gave you one of each. A squared binomial and a difference of squares. These are our last examples. I'm going to try to see how I can resurrect my board over there.
A marker.
Red marker.
What's the worst you've done, like, out of all your years?
I think that's a pretty good size dent. I don't see any other ones with that.
That's pretty good. I need to get rid of those anyway. Make sure you know which is which. One of them has a shortcut, one does not. Don't let me come around my red pen. Gotcha.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
I really hope so. So I get wrong, so I see for one. I really think you. Kirsten probably correct him.
What?
If Jake gets it wrong.
I just did.
I'm feeling you'll forget about it and you'll
See?
do the wrong thing.
You hear that, Kirsten?
Maybe, yes. I did it right.
He forgot to put the square.
There you go. Kirsten had to correct him.
I
Should
did not
have
figure
corrected him,
this
so she
way.
would have scribbled all over his paper.
Times about 7.
That's not.
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
supposed to put the square.
Jake, yes, Lord, shut up. Tell me what I'm talking
A times A is what?
Oh, yeah, it's different.
I mean,
Same difference. I got the same jacket. Except I forgot to put the little bitty screw in the top. Whoa.
Right, okay. A times A is what? A squared. Y'all, I'm seeing y'all leaving off your square when you multiply A times A. Alright, no red pens were murdered in this time around the classroom. Good, I kind of like this. Okay, let's finish it up so y'all can do practice. So number 14, is it special? What kind of special product is number 14? It's a difference of squares because we have same first terms, same last terms, opposite middles, right? Okay, so can you do a shortcut to this? Do you have to do the shortcut to this? No, when in doubt, FOIL it out. FOIL will always work, okay? When you have two binomials, FOIL always work. But this one does have a shortcut, so you can do 4a all squared. What sign goes in the middle of difference of squares? Minus 7 squared. What's 4a all squared? Wait, 16a squared minus what? 49. Raise your hand if you got 16a squared minus 49, even if you FOILed it out on number 14. Because if you FOIL it out, the middle's canceled. Number 15 is a binomial squared. How do you work a binomial squared? Multiply it by itself. Very good. So 3n minus 5 times 3n minus 5. It's erasing. All right. So you got a FOIL or a repeat distributive property. Either way, what's 3n times 3n? 9n squared. What is 3n times negative 5? What's negative 5 times 3n? And we said on a binomial squared, it'll have double middles, right? And then negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Combine your middles. 9n squared minus 30n plus 25. Raise your hand if you got that one correct. Any questions about multiplying polynomials? We good? Okay. Don't do bad math.